In this session, we're going to focus on comprehension strategies and skills. We will start by looking at the difference between strategies and skills and how they are linked. We will then define the key strategies that successful readers use as they read and understand the comprehension skills practiced when understanding text. Strategies and skills are linked and convergent. Comprehension strategies are employed during reading to help construct meaning in real time. Comprehension skills are abilities that can be used after reading to assist in the understanding of text and answering questions about the text. Oxford University Press has created a comprehension skills framework based on the research we reviewed in video 1. This framework underpins both Oxford Reading for Comprehension and Oxford Reading Buddy. The framework clearly captures the comprehension strategies that readers need to use while reading to help build meaning. It also identifies the comprehension skills that readers practice after they have read a text to enhance their comprehension and understanding. Each of these 5 skill categories requires the use of the 7 comprehension strategies that successful readers use as they read. Let's move now to take a more detailed look at the 7 comprehension strategies. We'll look at a short definition of each, which you might like to use with your students. Using a defined set of definitions around comprehension strategies will help you to implement a consistent language around comprehension. Research shows us that this is one of the contributing factors to successful comprehension instruction. Activating prior knowledge is a strategy a reader uses when they draw on the knowledge they already have and apply it to when reading a text. They pause when reading and ask, what information do I already have about this topic? And how can this knowledge help me to better understand what I am reading? Employment of this strategy enables readers to personally connect with the text. It is a highly useful strategy for teachers to monitor in their students as it gives them insight into where their students are situated prior to the commencement of the teaching and learning cycle. It can often be a good place to begin a literacy session. For example, you could say to your class, the book we will be exploring today is about wombats. Has anyone ever seen a real wombat? With the strategy Ask Questions, readers ask themselves questions as they read to help them understand the text. They ask, what have I missed? What did the author mean by this? Employment of this strategy allows readers to consider where they will look for answers to the questions they have about a text. It also helps them to connect with the text and form opinions about it. Model this strategy with students first, before monitoring how they are using it during their own reading. Encourage them to vocalise their questions. The Think Aloud is a good way of doing this. This can form part of a valuable assessment process where educators can reflect on the depth of the questions that their students create. Determining importance is a strategy used when readers differentiate between the most important points in a text and less important information. They say, the key lessons of this text are, and this text is mostly about. Employment of this strategy enables readers to gain an overall sense of the text by focusing on the salient features. They can select the most important information and make connections with it and summarise the text as they read. You can model this strategy with both non-fiction, where it works particularly well, and fiction texts. For example, with narrative texts, you could pause in their Think Alouds, that we learned about in video 1, during shared reading sessions and briefly summarise what has happened so far in the story. The strategy of inferring is when readers draw conclusions about the text by using hints and clues to help them interpret what they are reading. Inferential thinking is when readers go beyond the literal meaning of the text by connecting the clues embedded in the text with their own knowledge of the outside world. For example, they think, I know why the character in this story is acting this way because... Employment of this strategy enables readers to make informed choices about meaning through careful examination of the text, rather than merely guessing. It is important for teachers and their students to acknowledge that sometimes more than one conclusion can be reached. The strategy of monitoring comprehension is when readers check if the text they are reading is making sense to them. They stop and think about what they are reading and ask questions like, what does this word mean to me? And what have I learned? Using this strategy allows a reader to confirm if words can be recognised and defined, and if an author's message is understood. It is very helpful if teachers can guide their students to realise when meaning is being lost, so they can problem solve strategies to regain understanding. Prediction is a strategy that readers use to anticipate what will happen next in a text. They ask what written and visual clues can help me work out where this text is heading. Employment of this strategy enables readers to actively engage with the text and make their initial predictions, as well as to determine if their forecast was correct. Teachers can help students to stay motivated to want to keep reading a text, as this strategy aligns with the natural curiosity of children. They want to see if the author has indeed written the next part of the text the way that they predicted. Visualising refers to the strategy readers use when they construct a mental image of what the author has written as they read. They ask themselves, what pictures do I have in my head as I read this text? Using this strategy enables readers to think about the knowledge of visual images they draw in their mind as they engage with the text can help them to both understand the story and bring it to life. Teachers can model this strategy during think-alouds by pausing during the shared reading sessions and saying, "So far, I imagine the scenery in this narrative looks like, and I can see this in my mind as I read this text." Now let's recap the 7 comprehension strategies that proficient readers use to build meaning as they read. Activate prior knowledge, ask questions, determine importance, infer, monitor comprehension, predict, visualise. You can support your students in developing and using these strategies by explicitly teaching the strategies and by modelling the use of strategies during reading sessions. Next, we are going to look at the 5 comprehension skills. Each of these 5 skill categories requires the use of the 7 comprehension strategies that we have just looked at. First, let's look at the comprehension skill, finding information. This is a skill of retrieving information that is explicitly stated in the text. When using the skill of finding information, a reader is absorbing literal facts from the written text and the accompanying pictures to gain understanding about settings, plot, characters, and even their feelings if these are overtly expressed. Sometimes this process is referred to as reading what is on the lines. The second skill is making connections and inferences. This is a skill of interpreting and drawing conclusions by finding clues that authors have embedded in text rather than explicitly stating them. This skill builds on but is more sophisticated than the skill of finding information. Making connections and inferences is sometimes known as reading between the lines. The third skill is understanding vocabulary. This is a skill of identifying the meaning of the words and phrases, as well as understanding the effect that word choices have on a reader. The skill of using structure and organisation to make meaning is a skill of drawing on knowledge of text conventions, forms and features to make meaning of the text they have read. This skill is also about readers noticing the order of events in a text and identifying the main ideas as they read. The last skill we are going to look at is appreciating and understanding the author's toolkit. This is a skill of showing an awareness of the author's intent and expressing evaluative opinions about the text. The skill also includes readers recognising that writers deliberately use language features to create certain effects, and readers being able to make critical judgments about them. Let's bring the strategies and skills back together again by looking at the framework. As teachers, we can ensure that students have ample opportunity to learn, practice and use a combination of these comprehension strategies. We then need to provide settings where students can practice the 5 comprehension skills, reinforcing their comprehension of texts. In videos 3 and 4, we will look at how you can provide these opportunities to your students in guided reading sessions. See you then.